Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.
This is St. Louis on the Air from St. Louis Public Radio. I'm Elaine Cha. Last Tuesday, ProPublica's Jeremy Kohler published a report about the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Chief Robert Tracy. Its focus, Tracy's salary and where it comes from. Of the $275,000 a year the St. Louis Police Chief makes, $100,000 of it is paid by a local foundation. That's got some people wondering whether that unusual arrangement influences Chief Tracy's work. And Jeremy Kohler joins us now to talk about that. Jeremy, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Elaine.
Now, the St. Louis Police Foundation is the nonprofit we're talking about here, and it has donated cash to the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department in the past. Why is what's happening with the police chief's pay different and an issue of concern now, Jeremy?
Right. The St. Louis Police Foundation has been around since 2007. They typically donate a couple of million to the St. Louis Police Department, and also for the past 8 or so years to the County Police Department. It's usually gifts in kind. They don't actually give the police department the money. They'll physically buy the police cars or the shields. What makes this different? I talked to experts all over the country in policing and public administration, and they said it's just unheard of for a public official to accept a salary from a private group. Mm-hmm. It raises questions about independence, and even if there's no evidence of corruption or influence, it still just leaves this constant question of whether these people have more access to the chief and some ability to kind of direct public policy in a way that you or I or somebody else on the street wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. And so the amount that they're giving is not so much the issue. It's more about some of the problematic things that could come up attached to it.
Well, I think it's both. It's a significant amount of money. It's a large salary for just about anyone on its own, and it's 35% of what the chief makes for being chief. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about who's concerned about this influence and who isn't. For instance, you quoted Megan Green, who's the president of the Board of Aldermen and the second highest ranking official behind Mayor Tashara Jones. What did she have to say to you?
She and other aldermen said they don't know what kind of influence that is Chief Tracy faces from outside the department, for us, outside city government on a day-to-day basis. They don't know to what extent other people have his ear. They also don't know why the city, the mayor's office and the search firm went this direction. An extra $100,000 is not a lot of money for the city. The city police budget is $189 million per year. It doesn't appear that the mayor's office, the city, ever explored simply just paying the chief more, paying the chief a competitive salary.
Mm-hmm. Isn't there something that has come up about some parity?
It's in the charter that if the fire chief has to make whatever the police chief makes, and certain ranks in the fire department have to make the same as certain ranks in the police department. So unless they change the charter, they would have to pay the fire chief the same salary as the police chief.
Mm-hmm. Now, your ProPublica story, it came out last week, as we had mentioned. And on this show, on Friday, STLPR's Jason Rosenbaum asked Mayor Tashara Jones about this situation. And he specifically asked whether she had confidence that the foundation had no undue influence on Chief Tracy. And here's what she said.
I absolutely do, because if you read the contract, which has also been out in the public, is that the police foundation is asking him to be present at community meetings and do an annual community report. But that's already in Chief Tracy's blood. That's what he does.
And Jones further addressed that pay parity issue and said that the city on its own would not be able to afford top talent in a police chief.
The average police chief salary around the country for a city our size is in the 200s. And if we want to attract talent, then we have to find innovative ways in order to do so.
So, Jeremy, what do you make of the mayor's response there?
They keep saying that it's about attracting talent. And I think that there would be some truth to that if they had advertised the position at $275,000, or that any person applying interested in the job in the department or around the country who would see the job posting would say, that's really, it's a challenging job, but for $275,000, I'm interested in taking that job. They didn't. The $100,000 that the foundation put up did not come up until September of 22, when the search process was almost finished. They were, finalizing their search on 4 finalists, and so it's hard to see why they can say that this was about attracting talent when nobody knew that this money was on the table until the day that Chief Tracy was hired.
Yeah. So, could it be argued that it was about maintaining or keeping the potential talent that they had identified? Or is this just going back to when that information was publicly available? And so saying that they're trying to attract top talent, it doesn't hold as much water because of the timing of it?
Yeah. Certainly, a candidate who you're going to offer the job to for $275, if they expected the job was going to pay $175, that might go a long way toward them wanting to hold on to the job and stay and not leave for a better offer.
No, we talked about the potential for undue influence here. In what ways would the foundation having the ear of Chief Tracy be a bad thing?
Well, it's not necessarily that it could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing, but it's just raises questions about the fairness of how these decisions are made. The one thing that you can point to that Chief Tracy worked with the foundation on this year is the foundation last year gave the city about $850,000 to pay overtime for downtown patrols. Mm-hmm. And at the time, the foundation said, this is Chief Tracy asked for this. And Chief Tracy was asked why downtown, and he said, well, downtown is a gathering place, and we want people to feel safe there. Those are good answers. But, I talked to former Alderman Joe Vaccaro, and he said, I'm not buying that. There are lots of murders in my neighborhood. People, you have a financial relationship with this group. Of course, you're going to put the officers where they ask, where it would benefit them. Mm-hmm. And so I just think it's more of a fairness question.
Yeah. And what is it that other critics of this arrangement said that they want to see happen?
I don't know that anyone has said what they want to see happen. I think that the critics of this arrangement have said it's unheard of in American policing, and that it raises questions about fairness and influence.
Mm-hmm. And were there's one of the alder people, Sharon Tyus, was very much against this. And she's a longtime alderwoman who, like Joe Vaccaro, represents an area where there's a lot of crime that has affected the residents there. And her question was, who else can pay the chief? Can the criminals get together and pay the chief? To what extent was that rhetorical?
I think it is, obviously an absurd scenario, but it's fair to ask. If a group of business owners can get together and pay the chief, then can any group get together and pay the chief? And then what would they want the department to do in return for the money that they're providing?
Mm-hmm. And very quickly here as we wrap, what is your general impression of Chief Tracy's tenure so far? Violent crime numbers are down.
Yeah, I'm not very good at report cards on public officials. I think it's encouraging news if crime is down. The department controls the statistics, so I don't know how that'll bear out over time, but I just have no way of evaluating it.
Okay.
Today's episode was produced by our executive producer, Alex Hoyer. Audio engineering and podcast design by Aaron Dorr.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
St. Louis on the Air proudly supports local artists by using music from Life Creative Group.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.